Alright, the first unit I want to look at today is this LR INT Gohan, Goten, and Trunks card. This is a pretty cool card. I like the concept of this card. I don't really like it's a Dokkan Fest LR, and that for me is just for personal reasons, but I really do enjoy what this card has to offer. The support, the overall performance of this card looks pretty solid based off of kit and calculations. Animations they're there, but what's so unique about this card is, first of all, they're the first tag unit to be able to tag earlier than turn 4. Not only that, this is the first unit to have 3 units involved in the tag. This is a Gohan that tags into Goten and Trunks. That's pretty impressive, and it's a cool mechanic. Not only that, but this unit has a lot of callbacks to other animations we've seen this year, right? They have on their 18 key, which you'll see here shortly, they have the Fizz Duos 18 key where they do the Kamehameha into the overhead blast. You'll see it right here, right? It starts with the punch and then the kick down. Goten jumps. Goten shoots the Kamehameha. Trunks is going to avoid it and then shoot his own blast in a different angle, just like the Fizz Aether's, which looks really cool. But not only that, they also have the callback to the family Kamehameha using Trunks. I think this is okay. I don't like units that just transform or fuse in the active skill and that's it. But we did just get a Gotenks less than a year ago, standalone, so this is okay in my opinion, just for the sake of the card. I mean, the card would probably been way better if he did fuse, but look at his battle motions for a second too. That Gohan's battle motion's insane. But yeah, I mean, it is pretty unique that they took bits and pieces of other cards, implemented it into it, and it's its own unique card that also includes 3 units in a tag, which is pretty cool. Next, we're going to look at AGL Kaiku and LR INT Gohan. These guys are pretty unique due to the fact that they take the intro openings of DBZ Kai and the regular Z anime and turn them into actual cards and use the actual frames from the intro to make this card work. Kind of similar to what they did with the LR INT Gohan, Goten, and Trunks card we just talked about, since elements of that card include the intro of the Majin Buu saga, but they also have their own elements of the family Kamehameha. They introduce stuff like the LR Z duo. This card, though, these two specifically, the Gohan and the Goku, specifically have animations from the intro completely. There's nothing else in these cards that are outside of that material. Every single attack they do is only from the intros, which is pretty cool, I think. And there's some animations that look alright. I mean, I would probably improve on some of them for sure, but they still look really cool due to just some of the certain frames they have. And again, it's kind of cool to see the intro broken up into different segments and to actually function as a real unit you can use in the game. Now, I don't think it was an anniversary level concept. They definitely could have released this as like Golden Week or something like that, but I do enjoy the fact that they did make it exist. Like, Dokkan's biggest thing, which we'll talk about later, is how creative they are with units, and not just units that are directly from the show, but kind of going outside of that bubble. Here we have the LR Tech Super Saiyan Gohan and Goku, who released as part of the Golden Week celebration in 2022 as the Part 2 LR. It was really cool to see this unit because no one expected this at all. We were like, what about the Bye Guys Goku? Maybe another Cell, like a super perfect Cell, or just as like a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, or maybe another Androids card, right? Lots of speculation of who this guy could have been, and we ended up getting a Super Saiyan Goku and Gohan card, which created this what-if scenario on the active skill where Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2 with Goku still alive, and they do the father-son Kamehameha right then and there, which is pretty cool. I think it's a really cool concept of a card because it's so simple, right? Like, it's what if Goku is alive? Well, not much changes, but it just, you get to see the actual father-son Kamehameha happen with him there, which is cool. I think it's such a simple concept, of course, but the animations were cool. They, included elements of them like when they were training and stuff. But it was just cool to see Super Saiyan Gohan. Plus, he has a cape on too, which is even cooler because we don't really have many cards with that Gohan having the cape on. So yeah, I mean, it was a pretty cool concept of a card. They should EZA sometime soon, but I did like how at times Dokkan has these original cards that no other game even thinks to approach. The next card we have is the free-to-play INT Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, I was really not going to add free-to-play units to this list, but what I enjoy about this Goku is the fact that he's a Detransforming card. Now, again, he's not the only unit that has that, right? We do have a God Goku who does Detransform, but this Goku is forced to Detransform into base. God Goku, you have the option to go into Super Saiyan. That does not exist for this card. This card forces you to Detransform and is the only card in the game that forces you to Detransform. I really did wish, and do wish still, that Dokkan were to explore this topic a little more. I think there's a unique element of having cards Detransform or unfuse and actually make something out of it. For the longest time, I've wanted a Vegito Blue that unfuses and then goes into Sword of Hope Trunks, or like a I'm trying to think what else, like just, I don't know, there's different ways you can approach cards that Detransform or unfuse and make it a fun card that has different layers of playing through it. Like, I just think there's different ways you could do that, and I think this Goku's a great example of doing that. He detransforms from Super Saiyan 3, goes to base, and then you have the Super Spirit Bomb, and that's just a free-to-play card, by the way. That's like a Dokkan Fest level concept that they threw into a free-to-play card. I really would enjoy if they remade this card and allowed him to actually detransform and use the Super Spirit Bomb. It would be pretty cool to see on a higher level card with better animations. You know, when we gotta talk about unique units, that we're gonna have to talk about the AGL Devilman, and the only reason why we have to talk about him is because he has the most unique mechanic in the entire game, and that's the ability to just one-shot bosses. Granted, it's a 1% chance of happening, but the ability to just one-shot bosses is a pretty unique mechanic. Again, he's the only unit that has that ability, which makes him pretty powerful, and a reason why he's banned in so many events. But it's such a fun gimmick. If they allow him in certain fights, it's always fun to see him just one-shot entire bosses. We got all these meta units struggling while Devilman just one-shotting the most powerful bosses in the game. It's crazy. I found it funny too because when we got, you know, bosses over 999 million health, people are like, oh no, Devilman can't one-shot anymore, without realizing that that's just the damage cap number. That's not actually the damage cap in the game. It's just a number like blocker, which they should increase that, by the way. They definitely need to increase that, but it is pretty satisfying to see 99999 all the way across the board when you reach a certain damage threshold. But eventually we're gonna get to the point where every unit is hitting that, and it's no longer going to be satisfying when you get it. But yeah, this Devilman is still one-shotting bosses. His ability still exists. It's a straight up one-shot, no matter what. So we have not had any units since his release that's one-shot units, even at still 1%. I'm hoping we do get like a Hakai Beerus or something like that, like eventually, that has a similar ability, like a 1% or a 2% chance to one-shot any boss and make him just an actually good unit. That'd be a pretty incredible unit to use. Alright, the next unique unit I want to talk about is the AGL Invisible Man. Yes, another gimmicky Dragon Ball Saga character, but I'm not even gonna look at his kit today. There's only one reason he's on this list. He just doesn't have a sprite. I mean, he does have a backpack, I guess, but it's just a backpack floating in air. I mean, it makes sense because he is Invisible Man, but there is no unit in this game that doesn't have a sprite that's just completely invisible, which, again, granted, it's still not completely invisible, but it is pretty funny that they allowed the sprite to also be invisible to kind of give away to him being, you know, Invisible Man. So I think it's pretty cool. Not much to really talk about on this one, more so the fact that they gave a lot of attention to him. I wonder if they're going to give him eventually a battle motion where like he goes invisible or something like that. That'd be pretty cool, but I don't really know if we're ever going to see like a Dokkan Fest Invisible Man anytime soon, so we're probably not going to get his battle motion for probably ever. The next batch of units I want to take a look at are all ones that are not necessarily unique in their own respective kits or sort, but more so what Dokkan used to do back in the day. I'm talking about INT Super Saiyan 3 Bardock, Tech Super Saiyan 3 Broly, the Tech Mass Saiyan, and Tech Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. All of these guys were released just as random releases in early Dokkan. The Tech Mass Saiyan was actually, you know, a little bit later on, he released with the Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku, But the Super Saiyan 3 Broly released as a 120% leader for Extreme Tech. It Super Saiyan 3 Bardock released as a category leader. And STR Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta released as a very early Dokkan Fest release. But the reason why I bring all these units up is because Dokkan back in the day actually took liberty and released what-if units. Minus the Tech-Mass Sand. Tech-Mass Sand actually is a crossover unit, and you could argue Super Saiyan 3 Bardock as well, being part on that same train, since they're both from Xenoverse, and they're both from that whole thing with the Mass Sand, and then he goes Super Saiyan 3. But even if you remove them, you still have Super Saiyan 3 Broly and Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, which have no other crossover material. They were just introduced in this game as just, regular Dokkan Fest, which I thought was pretty cool because, I mean, no, like, you would start just, like, thinking crazy things. Who's the next Dokkan Fest going to be? I don't know, like, Golden Cell, right? Like, I don't think that was the case, but it's just more so the fact that we had that exist in the game, which, in my opinion, made it very appealing early on in its game's development. Of course, once it starts releasing all these newer units, like Vegito Blue and Rose and all that other stuff, and still kind of gave that insanity with the crossover with Heroes in November, it allowed a mix of both, but I really did enjoy back in the day when Dokkan would just randomly release a card that no one would ever even think as a Dokkan Fest. Super Saiyan 3 Broly, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, right? Like, what if they released a Super Saiyan 4 Gohan as a Dokkan Fest unit, right? Like, that would be pretty cool to see, but it's probably not going to happen anymore because they have so much actual content and representation to get to eventually. But a lot of people are worried about, like, what happens when they run out of material? What are they going to do? I would not be surprised if we start seeing like Super Saiyan 3 Vegito and Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta eventually, because they have shown in the past that they would be willing to do something like that. Next, we have PHY Raditz. And there's only one reason why he's on this list, and I'm being serious when I say this. He's on this list not because of his multipliers, he's not on this list because of anything like that. He's on this list because he just sucks, right? But he's not on the list because he just sucks. It's the fact that he's one of the only units of Dokkan history whose side banner unit was just better than him. And I'm not saying we haven't had cracked out side banner units in the past. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is the PHY Raditz is so bad that on his own banner you would summon for Nappa over the Raditz. It's just that bad. Like, there's not many Dokkan Fest, or if any Dokkan Fest units that I can think of on top of my head, that you would much rather have the side banner unit than the actual Dokkan Festival unit. It's insane. And it's not even the fact like, oh, well, like, the side banner unit's so broken that they're outshining the Dokkan Fest. It's the Dokkan Fest is so bad that this unit could literally have been anything, and it would have been better than Raditz. And that's quite insane to say, but it is the truth. The final unit I want to look at today is the LR INT Ginyu Force. Now, I'm not going to say this is the only 9 units or so in the game that are unique to this game. They're just the ones I want to take a look at. And this Ginyu Force is one of those units I want to look at because of his mechanic of having 5 super attacks. He has 2 on the 12 key, 2 on the 15 key, and then of course his 18 key, right? Which is pretty cool. I think it's really cool to see a unit with the Ginyu Force, right, who has 5 units, have 5 different super attacks. It'd be pretty cool if the Team Bardock kind of mimic this card and have 5 different super attacks themselves. It'd be a nice, unique yellow coin LR to have in this game. But yeah, I mean, the Guldo and Raccoon for the 12 key, the Jason Burger with the 15 key, and then the whole Ginyu Force attacking with the 18 key is a pretty nice gimmick. And of course, each one has their own super attack effects that help you build your Ginyu Force the way you want to. Well, it is RNG, I guess, but like if you get the 15 key and you're wanting defense, well, good luck, you gotta flip a coin for it. But it is still cool to see the fact that they gave each individual Ginyu Force member, minus Ginyu, their own super attack, which is, again, for the Ginyu Force card, is a pretty cool mechanic. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Would you guys agree with some of these units on this list, or you disagree? If you guys enjoy the voice content, click the first link in the description. And the second one is going to be to all of my voice content, or sorry, to all my Dokkan Battle content in general. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.